Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and current events. I'm your host, Walter, and we're glad you're joining us today. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. We're seeing some significant developments in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. President Trump has been making headlines with his recent statements and policy shifts regarding the situation. In just 2 weeks, he's halted and then reinstated weapons shipments to Ukraine. And now he's openly expressing frustration with Russian President Vladimir Putin's continued military actions. The latest move is a deal with NATO to try to pressure Russia into a ceasefire agreement within 50 days. The plan involves threatening stiff tariffs and increasing military aid to Ukraine. But the question on everyone's mind is, will this new approach make a difference? And will it last? To break it down, let's look at the context. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine has been ongoing for years, with both sides suffering significant losses. The international community has been trying to find a way to bring about a peaceful resolution, but so far, no lasting solution has been found. President Trump's recent statements and actions suggest that he's taking a tougher stance against Russia. He's announced a deal to send Patriot missile systems to Ukraine, which will be paid for by Germany. This move has been seen as a significant escalation of U.S. involvement in the conflict. But Russia has responded by warning that the shipment of these missile systems will only escalate the situation further. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that the U.S. is continuing to involve itself in the conflict, despite the transactional arrangement. So, what does this mean for the future of the conflict? Will President Trump's new approach lead to a breakthrough? Or will it simply lead to more escalation? We'll be keeping a close eye on developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. It's also worth noting that this situation is complex and multifaceted, with many different players and interests involved. As we move forward, it's essential to consider all perspectives and to approach the situation with nuance and understanding. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. I'm your host, Walter. We're diving into a complex and troubling situation unfolding in southern Syria, where clashes between Druze and Bedouin communities have resulted in the loss of at least 30 lives. This latest outbreak of sectarian violence comes on the heels of Islamist-led rebel forces overthrowing President Bashar al-Assad in December, sparking fears among minority groups about their safety and protection under the new authorities. To provide some context, the Druze community, with its unique blend of Islamic, Christian, and Gnostic beliefs, has historically maintained a distinct identity within Syria. Their concerns are not unfounded, given the region's tumultuous history and the current power dynamics at play. The Syrian Interior Ministry has characterized the situation as a dangerous escalation and has deployed security forces to restore calm in the affected areas. Reports from the ground indicate that the violence began with the abduction of a Druze merchant on the highway to Damascus, followed by armed clashes between Sunni Bedouin tribal fighters and Druze militias in the city of Suwaida. The conflict has since spread, with attacks on Druze towns and villages, and retaliatory actions by Druze fighters against Bedouin areas. It's essential to approach this story with sensitivity and an understanding of the deep-seated historical and sectarian tensions at play. While the Syrian government has pledged to protect minority communities, the effectiveness of these measures remains to be seen. International observers are closely watching the situation, given its potential to destabilize the already fragile region. In our commitment to fairness and balance, it's crucial to acknowledge the fears and concerns of all parties involved. The Druze community's apprehensions about their future under the new regime are valid, just as the Bedouin tribe's grievances and sense of marginalization must be recognized. Finding a path towards reconciliation and peace will undoubtedly be challenging, but is essential for the stability and prosperity of Syria. As we continue to monitor this developing story, we urge all stakeholders to prioritize dialogue and peaceful resolution, recognizing the inherent value of diversity and the importance of protecting minority rights. The international community also has a role to play in supporting efforts towards peace and reconciliation in Syria. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're closing out today's show with a story that's been making waves in the world of international trade. The European Union is facing a difficult decision as U.S. President Donald Trump threatens to impose 30% tariffs on imports from the EU and Mexico if no trade deal is reached by August 1st. Now, let's break it down. The proposed tariffs would significantly impact trade between the US and the EU, which is currently worth around €40 billion a day. EU Trade Chief Maros Sefcovic has stated that such tariffs would make it almost impossible to continue trade with the US. He believes that a deal is still possible, but acknowledges that the current uncertainty caused by the tariff threat cannot persist indefinitely. Some European countries like France are calling for a tough reaction to Trump's tariffs, with French Trade Minister Laurent Saint-Martin saying there should be no taboos in any retaliatory plans. On the other hand, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz is working intensively to reach a deal, and has warned about the severe consequences for the German economy if no agreement is reached. It's clear that the EU is facing a dilemma as they try to balance their desire to protect their economic interests with the need to maintain a strong relationship with the US. The European Commission has delayed retaliatory measures in a sign of goodwill, but diplomats say another set of reprisal measures could be launched if the 30% tariffs go ahead. As we wrap up this story, it's essential to note that the situation is complex and multifaceted. Both sides have valid concerns, and a fair solution would require careful consideration of the interests of all parties involved. We'll continue to monitor the developments and provide updates as more information becomes available. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.